This is the fifth and final video in a series that I'm doing on when Jesus cast vision when he called his first disciples, and what we can do to imitate Jesus when it's time for us to cast vision to those that God has placed under our care. Let's get started. Welcome to Equipped. I'm Mario Escobedo. On this channel, I do a lot of Bible study videos, but I also do other kinds of videos. No matter what kind of video I do, though, it's all with the intention of giving you tips and tools to share the Bible more effectively with those God has placed under your care. If that sounds interesting and or helpful to you, then consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell so that you're always up to date on the latest teachings. One of the greatest responsibilities we have as pastors and church leaders is that of casting vision to our people. And I've suggested throughout this series that your weekly sermon or teaching time is one of the most powerful tools that you have at your disposal for casting vision to your church and to individuals within your church. We've been looking at Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 through 20, when Jesus called his first disciples. And we've been looking at that passage as an example of how Jesus cast vision when he called his first disciples. And the intention of this is to look at principles that we see Jesus doing in that pericope that we can imitate when it's time for us to cast vision as well. So let's look at this passage to look at the fifth and final principle of casting vision in a way that Jesus did it. So I'm going to read the passage again because we've been reviewing this so many times, but it's good to review it as many times as we can. This is how it reads. While walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. Now, the only thing Jesus says in this entire exchange is in verse 19, "Follow me and I will make you fishers of men." And that's where I'm identifying that phrase as the moment when Jesus cast vision to his disciples. He was presenting, or potential disciples at that point really, he was presenting to them a future that was better than their current reality. That's what we do when we cast vision to our people. And I've been extrapolating some principles, and this teaching is the final principle of what I see in this passage of when Jesus cast vision and what we can do to imitate that. And here's it's a very simple principle, but here it is. Jesus shared the outcome of the process, and that is disciples that make disciples. When Jesus called them, he was calling them to discipleship, but he was calling them also to make disciples. So if you engage in this process of disciples, I'm going to make you fishers of men, i.e., I'm going to make you disciples who can make other disciples. I'm going to teach you how to make disciples. So he shared the outcome with them. We've been talking about this, about sharing what they can be, what they can become, the importance of that, walking them through that process. And this is really what Jesus did. This was genius. He shared the outcome with his disciples. You are going to be disciples that make other disciples. How did Jesus do that? Well, in that one phrase, "Follow me." And with that, this is the traditional call of a rabbi to disciples. Follow me, right? Very it's nothing out of the ordinary. When a rabbi would tell a disciple, "Come follow me," they're telling them, imitate me. Come right behind me, walk in my footsteps. I am going to disciple you. Now, let me just make a parenthetical comment here. Jesus flipped the script a little bit because at that time, it wasn't the practice for a rabbi to find disciples and to call them to follow him. Rather, potential disciples would seek out a rabbi and ask, "Could I be your disciple?" If the rabbi agreed, then the rabbi would then say, "Okay, come follow me." Jesus reversed that. He didn't wait for these men or other men to come ask him, "Can we be your disciples?" He issued the call. So when he says, "Come follow me," it's a call to discipleship. Very plainly, very clearly, it's a call to discipleship. But then when he says, "I'm going to make you fishers of men," in their language, in their parlance, and words that they understand, he's telling them, "And I'm going to teach you to do with others what I'm going to do with you. I'm going to make you disciples that will make other disciples. I'm going to teach you what I know. You're going to become like me so that you can replicate what I'm doing with you. You can do it with others." So Jesus shared the outcome from the very beginning. You're going to be disciples that make disciples. And so as we think about how to apply that with us, with our people in our time, then we follow the same example, or we follow the example of Jesus, and we do what he did. We imitate Jesus when we cast vision. We share the outcome with our people, and we tell them, listen, the outcome of this process of me discipling you, of our church discipling you, is that you would be a disciple that with time, in time, would be able to make other disciples. Now, you have to be wise in how you craft those types of statements, when you tell people that, how you tell people that, because it might be a bit much for them to assimilate that and digest that. Wait a minute, I'm barely starting in this process. How is it that I'm going to be someone who makes other disciples? No, you ease them into it. You share the outcome with them, but you do it in a way that's wise and that's at their level. So, for example, what I've done is that as I pray for somebody, I'll say, now, you know what? I can see that not too far from now, you'll be praying for other people as well. Simple prayers. You'll be able to lead somebody else in a prayer as well. You'll be able to share your story with somebody else. And even though I'm not technically using the words, I'm discipling you so you can disciple others. That's the underlying concept. I'm teaching you, watch me how I do this so that you can do it as well. And there's nothing wrong with sharing with our people from the very beginning of their discipleship journey, sharing with them what the outcome of all of this is and letting them know. Again, be wise about this. Pick your moments and know how to do it. But I've said from the platform, from our pulpit, listen, we want to disciple you because we know that you can disciple somebody else. We want to train you and equip you so that you can be a blessing to other people. And sharing that outcome, there's nothing wrong with doing that. We can do that. We can share the outcome with the people, just like Jesus did when he called his disciples. Follow me. That's the call to discipleship. I'm going to make you fishers of men. You're going to make other disciples. And let our people know the whole point of this Jesus journey is for you to make disciples of other people, for you to be used to make other disciples. Notice that in his call to discipleship of these men, Peter and Andrew, he didn't say, follow me, I'm going to make your life easier. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to fill your life with purpose and prosperity. And he didn't do that. Now, all of that would come as a result of following Jesus, but he shared outcome. You're going to make other disciples. You're going to fish for men. And I think we do that with our people as well. I think what we've tried to sell them is a gospel that's all about me. How Jesus is going to change my life, how my life is going to benefit, how my life is going to be better, how my finances are going to improve. And it makes it all about me, right? Very consumer driven. It's all about me. Well, Jesus will do all of those things, but let's put in front of them what Jesus wants us to put in front of them. It's so that you can make other disciples. Jesus isn't giving you life more abundantly just for you to be selfish with it. It's so that you can pass that on to others as well. Jesus isn't giving you peace, not like the world gives, so that you can enjoy it for yourself, but so that you can pass it on to somebody else. So we can tell our people from the very beginning, coach them, train them, disciple them to know what you are receiving, the blessings and the improvements and the betterments to your life. Jesus is doing all of that. But the purpose of it, the outcome, is that you can pass that on to others as well. Share the outcome with them. And so from our pulpits, every time that we're preaching, again, your weekly sermon is probably your most powerful and effective tool for casting vision. Let people know you can do this. Don't keep it all to yourself. Share with others what Jesus is doing in your life. And in that way, you may not use this term, but they're making disciples. They're in the process of helping somebody else along in their discipleship journey. Very important to do that from the pulpit as well, not just in those one-on-one situations or conversations that we have with people. And by the way, I have a free resource for you that you can use that will help you craft these sermons or your sermons so that you can cast vision and do all of these elements that we've been talking about throughout this series. This is the 5th and final video on this, but we've been talking about how to do this and the importance of doing it from the pulpit. This free training, it's completely free. This free training that I have for you will help you do exactly what we've been talking about throughout this entire series. I've titled this training, Making the Most of Your Sermon Prep Time. And the subtitle, very important, is the 3 most strategic questions you must answer to prepare effective, engaging, life-transforming sermons. And if I add a parenthesis there, it would be, and to cast vision. That's what this whole series has been about. Access that through my website. There's a link in the description below. And I assure you that these 3 questions will be incredibly helpful as you prepare sermons that will cast vision and help your people along on their discipleship journey. Hey, this is the end of this series, 5 videos in this series. If you haven't seen them all, access them. There's a playlist, links in the description, so that you can access all of these teachings on Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 through 20, when Jesus cast vision when he called his first disciples. And on top of all that, like, share, comment, all those things that people ask you to do on YouTube. I'd appreciate if you did that on this channel as well. God bless. Thank you so much for joining me in this series. I'll see you in the next one.